when I was diagnosed with depression,
Yes.
and my mother came to see me, she kept on telling me that I'm the only person who can heal myself. I was lectured a lot by
Sorry.
people. People used to lecture me that,
Sorry.
why can't you see this and this? Why can't you, you know, people are
They're
lecturing
like
me.
the things which were so obvious to you.
Yes,
they
they
are
were
not obvious.
lecturing me. And that is why today, if I encounter somebody who is struggling with the behavior problems, emotional problems, I have a lot of compassion because I understand. Got to learn that my mother was battling depression when she was expecting me. She was battling depression throughout my childhood. I was separated from my mother when I was only 6 months old.
What?
So my grandmother,
6 months?
yes, my paternal grandmother took me and raised me until I was ready to go to school. Those are the kind of traumas which have been researched, especially like a baby being separated from the mother or the primary caregiver is a I explained, did you ever get sick when you are pregnant? Did you ever use any medication? For what? How was the delivery? Then I explained. There was difficult delivery when the baby was born. She had complications. She didn't even cry. The psychiatrist picked it. But we did not, all along we did not know. Realize the psychiatrist detected it was a perinatal trauma. The delivery process is what damaged certain
The
areas of
brain.
the brain were deprived of
At early
oxygen.
stage. Hi guys, welcome to Seraphine TV. As always, we are happy to have you again on this platform. This is the best online TV you can ever come across. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Like the video. Subscription is free, absolutely free. You're not paying anything. You won't be charged for subscribing. And those who have subscribed already, feel loved. We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us on this amazing journey of bringing to you the only content, exceptional, exciting, interesting, and very informative content on this platform. We care about you, we love you, and we are doing this for ourselves and for you, our valuable follower. So today I have a very amazing lady, very special, and as the saying goes, that the strongest woman, you always say man, huh? The strongest woman is the woman who has been broken and she has healed. I will not put it the way you want me to put it. But I have a warrior, a conqueror, a winner in the guest that I have today. And this is the kind of content that moves me, so passionate to my heart when it comes to mental health issues. This is a woman who has been on a journey, very interesting yet so challenging, but very inspiring story. And the best thing about it that you'll get to hear from us today, that there is hope, that she won the battle. So I'm bringing hope. Today is a story of hope. So as you follow her story, just know that it will end well. It has a happy ending. She's a winner. You will listen to her. I will allow her to introduce herself, who she is, and today she will be sharing her story to us. Welcome, darling.
Thank you very much for that very warm welcome. I'm delighted to be here. I am Susan Catherine Keter, and as you have heard, I have been on a journey. I have experienced many things in life, but we are going to hear about some of them today. And I believe that you will be blessed.
Wow.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I'm sure they will. If me, I'll be blessed. I'm sure they will be blessed. So as you've heard, our dear viewers, that she's Catherine, Madam Catherine. And besides just her telling her story, maybe I'll just mention to you that she's so unique. That is a person who has come out from her experience that she'll share with us. Also, that she's an expert. And she has learned from her scars. She has turned her scars into beautiful story, and just she's been moved to helping others because of her own situation. So yes, darling, what I know is like you've dealt with a lot of things, you've handled a lot of things in life, you have a very interesting yet so challenging story of your life. One of them that you battled depression and you came out a conqueror.
Yes.
You will tell us others because I don't want to tell them. I'll be
Okay.
happy if you did it yourself.
That is okay.
Yeah, if you did it yourself.
That is fine.
Yeah, so you were just born ordinarily like any other girl, any other child?
Okay, let me say that I was born in a normal family. I'm
Yes.
the last born out of 7 siblings. I have other siblings, brothers and sisters. I would say I grew up in a normal family. When we talk of a normal family, is more or less what everybody is used to. Mother, father, children, extended family, just normal
settled
family. Yes,
Yes.
yes. That to me, I think we'll get deeper into that about when we get to the issue about depression. So as you have said, I battled depression for many years. Not just me. My mother battled depression for many years. My daughter battled depression for many years. So this is something which I would say our family has been through. And the good news is that all of us are in good health.
Wow.
My mother is now 85 years old. She's in good health. She's not on any kind of medication,
They
any
healed
treatment.
completely. You
Yes,
guys healed
none of us
completely.
is on any kind of treatment. We are okay. I would say I thank God that we are well. And let me say something there. When I was diagnosed with depression and my mother came to see me, she kept on telling me that I'm the only person who can heal myself. Of course, I didn't have a formula for healing myself. And now that I work with other people to heal themselves, I came to understand that whatever formula my mother used to heal herself, she didn't document it. Yeah, so when she's saying you can heal yourself, she didn't have, the documented that this is what you do.
And it didn't make sense to you then?
It didn't, because I didn't have the formula. And the fact that she never documented, but with time, as I learned and I got to know how one can heal themselves, I started understanding bits and pieces of what she would say. Then I could now put a name on some of the things she did. But even her, she probably did not know those strategies, that some of them are well researched and they are used.
Now, Catherine, I think before you even know, now you are diagnosed and you know that you're battling depression, what happened? I mean, how did you get there?
Now I know today you are going to hear things from an angle you've not heard before, because let's say diagnosis help doctors to treat. For me now, since I'm not a doctor, I do not look at isolated diagnosis. I look at issues. I lump together issues to do with unhealed traumas, and they manifest in different ways. There are people who have anxiety, there are people who abuse substances, there are people who are suicidal, there are people who have depression, there are people who develop health conditions such as high blood pressure and many other conditions that have roots in whatever traumas are inside them that have not been addressed. So I had a lot of struggles. Okay, I was on treatment for high blood pressure. I was on treatment for asthma.
At what age?
In my 30s. So I was in my early 30s.
Yes.
So I had gastrointestinal issues. There are things I could not eat because I had acid problem. So I used to get a lot of abdominal pains. I would be taken to hospital, tests would be done like the barium meal to check what was wrong with my gastrointestinal tract. I would have, my stomach checked. I would get the results that the lining of my stomach is spongy, it seems to be inflamed. So I had a lot of issues. I had lower back pain also.
Series of issues.
Yes. So now you can see why I'm telling you are going to see things from an angle which you probably are not used to, because
I'm sure
depression is looked at as an isolated thing, or anxiety as an isolated thing. And I always say, this is the way I put it. When the body breaks down, it is like having a mole. You know the mole in the shamba which digs underground?
Yes.
That mole digs several holes. So when you go to the shamba, you will see several holes, but it's the same mole.
And you think there are so many?
You think there are many. So when the body breaks down, the body is one system. So when it breaks down, each of those issues is the hole the same mole has dug. So I was having multiple issues. All those issues were being treated as different conditions, but actually it was the same mole. It was the same mole in the body. So
they are wrapped
yes, they are erupting in different places. And you see, if somebody is being treated for depression, they are likely to have other issues which might not be considered as the same problem. So I was having all those issues being treated separately. But as time went by and I got well educated and understood about what is called in the scientific world as adverse childhood experiences, I came to realize that adverse childhood experiences, which are traumas that we carry from a very young age, some even from the womb, they predispose one to a lot of problems. And those problems can actually become very many. They take many people to premature graves, by the way. But they are not addressed as the same mole. They are normally addressed as unrelated issues.
Actually, I think at the level they erupt, it speaks.
Yes.
The eruption.
So you are on treatment. So I was being treated for so many issues. I would be treated for one condition. Next time I'm in hospital with another condition, then another condition. But it was not being addressed as the same issue, as the same mole that is erupting in different places.
So these eruptions happened at 30?
I was in my 30s, in my early 30s, yes, when I got all those issues.
Yes.
So I ended up being treated for depression when I was already on treatment for other things. I was on treatment for high blood pressure. I was using inhalers for asthma. I had multiple problems. But now, because also I had a lot of emotional struggles.
Yes.
I used to cry a lot. I used to be in a low mood. I was always unhappy. In fact, I would be asked, why can't you just see the glass as half full rather than half empty? Because I just used to see the negative side of things. I didn't have the capacity to see any positivity. So I was a very unhappy person. I used to cry a lot.
Everywhere. You have friends, people around you.
I used to be very pessimistic. I would always see the negative side of things. So I would say that it's my own journey and the work I've put in that made me realize that all those conditions were the same problem.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And it took you time to realize?
It has taken me many years to understand all those things. And I would say that I have been privileged to learn from diverse sources, and I came to discover that these issues are well researched.
Oh yeah.
In places like the US, even healthcare providers are trained. Police officers, teachers, they are trained in these things, such that there are things when you see,
handled at that level.
When you see certain things like even something like obesity, somebody who struggles to lose weight, or they lose weight and then it all comes back within a very short time. It is well researched and covered in the what is called the ACEs study adverse childhood experiences study. It's a wide study which was done with over 17,000 subjects. It's published, it is documented. So if you see people who struggle to lose weight, the first thing, those people who are trained in the area of adverse childhood experiences, they will look at childhood trauma.
Now, sorry to cut you. So at 30, you're saying you are a very sad person.
Yes.
You are so negative.
Yes.
Like
Pessimistic.
Pessimistic.
Yes.
Yeah, the word is pessimistic. But pessimistic to your understanding, to a normal person, is you are negative.
Yes, you are negative. You
You're
always say,
negative
"Ata uta," you know, "Ata ita work." You know the way.
Ata ya nini.
Yeah, it won't even work. It won't even succeed. Ata ile ingine didn't succeed. You know that kind of looking. When something happens, you know there is positive and negative. I'll only see the negative.
So at what point did you start realizing that all this is happening around you, you needed extra attention? Okay, let me put this way. You had family already at 30?
Yes.
How was your family coping with this? How are you coping? Your children, your spouse, where you were born, your family around you? How are people around you treating you, and how are you feeling towards them? Because you are a pessimist. Like, I'm sure there are either projects in the family you could not see positive, anything, any project. Your children, were they feeling the impact of all this on you?
Let me tell you, my experience made me understand a lot because I was highly misunderstood.
Sorry.
I was lectured a lot by
Sorry.
people. People used to lecture me that,
Sorry.
why can't you see this and this? Why can't you, you know, people are
They're
lecturing
like
me.
Things which were so obvious to you.
Yes, they were
not
lecturing me. And that is why today, if I encounter somebody who is struggling with the behavior problems, emotional problems, I have a lot of compassion because I understand. And let me mention something there which I think is very important.
Yes.
Is that what science has proven is that adverse childhood experiences cause neurological damage. So that person who suffers, who struggles with behavior problems, with substance use problems, with suicidal behavior, with violence, anger issues, whatever, as a result of adverse childhood experiences, the problem is not in the mind. You cannot reason with them to change. It's a neurological problem. Yes, it's not a mind
you lose
problem.
even sense of reason.
It's in the nervous
nerves.
system.
In the nerves, yes.
Yes, so you cannot reason, you can't use the brain to change it. If you are to help that person to heal, you need to recognize it as neurological damage, not just somebody who is not seeing
So
positive.
these lectures we're giving you, like,
they are useless.
They
are useless.
Can you reason?
They are useless. It's like telling somebody who is blind physically to see a beautiful scenery. It's not possible. There is no capacity to see. Yeah.
So guys, keep subscribing. Like if you're following this story, our conversation with Susan is a very interesting story. So when I'm telling you, see that a person who is mentally challenged, going in depression or that kind of mental illness, is not a person to start yelling at, lecturing, shouting at, right, Catherine? We need to look at them with compassion, like handle them with care. Should I put it that way?
Understand that is not a choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So keep subscribing. If you like this kind of content, please show us love by liking this video and subscribe for more information. We are just enjoying the conversation here, and I know what is coming. You are yet to hear. She just told me that today I will hear new things, and so you too, you will. Yes, guys, welcome back. Hope you've taken a cup of water, a glass of water, or sipped tea. So we are yet here again, continuing the conversation with my lady here. Hope you're enjoying this kind of conversation, and please take your time, go through, listen, watch keenly, and I'm sure you're learning something. Yes. Yeah, so you are saying if you are affected, it's not something that you expect a victim. Let me use that word, a victim to respond like you from this other end. we overreact? Do we handle them with a lot of harshness, or we pretend they're okay?
Now, the thing is, a very big percentage of people have unaddressed traumas. So they have struggles which manifest in different ways. And a very good example is people we read about in the news, we watch them on the news, that somebody just took a knife and killed the spouse, or killed the boyfriend, or killed the girlfriend. That is what I'm talking about, neurological damage from traumas that one may not even remember, because some of those
They're
traumas,
not even aware.
yes, some of those traumas are from the womb. Others are from the delivery process.
So this is what happened to you, about your story.
For me, I had to dig into my history, and I got to learn that my mother was battling depression when she was expecting me. She was battling depression throughout my childhood. I was separated from my mother when I was only 6 months old.
What?
So my grandmother, my
6 months?
Yes, my paternal grandmother took me and raised me until I was ready to go to school. Those are the kind of traumas which have been researched, especially like a baby being separated from the mother or the primary caregiver is a
At an
early stage, like especially the toddler stage, that is 3 years and below. It does a lot of damage, and we have said it's not thinking, it's a neurological damage. So you cannot tell this person to think.
To reason.
You can't. It's not possible. They don't have that capacity. It is in their nervous system. So it's not something they can think to change. You have to use strategies that correct that.
So like your case,
yeah.
these are, you came to realize that it was
Yes.
your childhood trauma.
Yes.
When you were very little, at infant stage. You
Yes.
were taken
Right
away
from the womb. Right from the womb. My mother battling depression when she was expecting me was what I would call a prenatal trauma. Then my mother not being able to take good care of me because she was not well. These are some of the things we see. Children whose mothers were depressed, had chronic illness, like a mother who had severe illness, or a mother was on substances, or a mother was not healthy emotionally, so she was making noise, abusing the children, beating them. Those are the kind of traumas that have been researched, and they have been documented how they cause neurological damage.
So your own case, it erupted at the age of 30. When you started feeling...
Let me tell you what happens is that in normal cases, when things are going well, that person might look okay until a trigger happens. For me, a trigger happened because I went through a very difficult year. Two of our children underwent major surgeries the same year, one in May and one in November. That is the trigger that happened to me. Especially the first one was very critically ill just before his second birthday, and I was in the first trimester of the pregnancy. So it was very, very stressful for me because he was in very critical condition. He was crying throughout, he was vomiting, he was in very bad shape. In fact, when we were admitted in hospital, the doctors really couldn't tell what was wrong. They would try to do x-rays, they would try to find out, but eventually a surgeon had to be called, a pediatric surgeon was called to do what is called exploratory surgery. Open up that stomach to find out what is wrong. It was
so tragic moment.
It was very, very difficult. My husband is my number one support. He happened to be out in the field somewhere in northeastern Kenya. There were no mobile phones. I didn't even know that the child was operated because there were no cell phones at that time. We didn't have communication. So I struggled on my own.
Your family, your siblings around you?
Let me say that I didn't get much of the support which I would have expected, because many people in my circles were trying to speculate. It is not a normal thing. for a child to end up going through surgery. It was
surgery.
not a normal thing. Some people were, instead of just working with me and giving me support, they were busy trying to speculate that what would it be? Maybe you don't give the right food, you know.
And it was
they
just
were
a second born. I'm sure you also.
so I just I
You were a
let
young
me
mom
say
also.
I didn't get the kind of support I would have expected, and the fact that it was so difficult to support the child. He was crying non-stop. Other mothers in the ward would want to assist me, but he couldn't accept anyone else. He only wanted me. He could not accept anybody else.
Really
so day and night, he's crying. It took several days for the doctors to decide to do surgery. So there I was, and I was in the first trimester of pregnancy. You know that stage where you have nausea, that, and then you have a child who is very sick. You have to walk up and down. You have to just carry him, trying to soothe him, and he was not in a good state. So then, now in November, the follower was born and had a problem that required surgery. So even before we were discharged from the hospital, the surgery had to be done. So the first week of life,
right at birth.
Yes, in fact the surgery was done when he was 5 days old, because it took some days for doctors to observe him, to investigate what was wrong, and then it was concluded he needed surgery. So it was very difficult, because you know that first week, a baby wants the bonding, a baby wants to suckle.
Even yourself.
The baby, I saw it was a sign was put on the incubator, kneel by mouth. So I used to express the milk into the sink, because if I didn't express, it could dry out, and when the baby recovered, he would still need to suckle. So I used to express the milk into the sink in the hospital. So, and I could not even hold the baby because it's in an incubator throughout. I could only go there, so you know that small window. I hold his hand. The baby was in distress. He wanted to breastfeed, which was not being allowed, so he was crying throughout. Anything, the pipes being used to give him drip, when they passed near his mouth, he tried to suck on them. He really wanted to suckle. It really tortured me, I must say. So really those two experiences, that is how now my health problems just exploded. So I got so many health. In fact, by the time I left hospital the first time with the first son, I was on treatment for high blood pressure. By the time I left hospital the second time, I was on treatment for high blood pressure. That's where my trigger happened, and that is how now my health problems came up. So when you ask how I discovered I had depression, I didn't discover I had depression. It's because I had so many health problems that I was referred now to a psychiatrist, that it needed more investigation. What could be the problem? That is how I ended up.
How are you behaving in all this?
I was very sad. I was crying a lot. I was very upset. I couldn't.
With these pressures, you were shocked.
I could not even tolerate anybody.
The baby, I'm looking at your relationship with that baby at that moment.
Let me say that my relationship with the baby was not affected.
Thank God. Because you know what you expect.
You know, I hear people who have gone through, they want to harm the baby and all that. I was close with the baby. He's a grown guy now, and we are still close. It didn't affect our relationship. God was gracious, but I really used to be in a crying mood, let me say.
So when you are referred to, most of us, we suffer stigma when it comes to when you hear psychiatrist, and you're like, did that bother you?
Of course it did. It really did.
Your blood pressure?
It really did, because remember, I was born when my mother was battling depression. So I got to know as I grew that my mother had depression. And my mother was on antidepressant medication until I was in class 7. Class 7 is not very small. It means I was aware. And my mother, when she discovered that she could heal herself, she threw away her medications in the pit latrine. I remember we cried so much because, like me, I was born when my mother was on medication. I did not know my mother without medication. So when she threw them away, we thought she was going to die. We thought she was going to die. And even her, she thought she was going to die. She had actually even...
She threw them away because she was just done with them? Or she was like...
She threw them away because she used to travel from the village to Kenyatta Hospital for treatment. And one day, when when people keep coming all the time, you get to know one another. You've been coming for years. There are people you meet all the time because they also come for review the same time with you. So you start now talking. And one day when they were talking, one woman said, "Now for me, the doctor has said I'm on the highest dose possible of this medication. So if this one does not solve my problems, there's no higher dose." Then another one said, "Don't even talk about you. For me, even when this hospital was under construction, I was still coming here." My mother listened to those conversations, and then she said, "So we don't come here to get well." She did not even wait to see the doctor. She came back home, she took all the medications, she put them in the pit latrine. We cried. And she had prepared herself. If she didn't survive, she had talked to us. She took insurance cover, life insurance. She talked to us that if she died, how she wanted us to cope. We cried. But she was very strong. She pushed herself and got well. She was also in her early 30s. Yes, she had depression.
When she was throwing away those meds.
She got the depression in her early 30s. Because my mother got married young. She got married when she was 19. She got the 7 of us within a period of 10 years. So by 30, she had the 7 children. And remember, she got depression when she was expecting me. So you see, she must, the time she was struggling with depression, she was around 30. So
with this information at the back of your mind, and
do you know why it was difficult? It's because my mother told us over and over and over again that depression, you are the only one who can heal yourself. Even those who go to hospital, they don't get well. They don't get well. And that's what we knew.
And now someone is recommending.
And now somebody is telling me to see a psychiatrist and be put on medication. And my mother has always said that depression, you heal yourself. No doctor can heal you. So how was I going to?
You suffered twice.
How was I going to make peace with that? It was very difficult.
Did you even see the doctor?
I did. I used antidepressant medication for some time. And I remember when my mother came, she reminded me. When she found I was on antidepressant medication, she told me, "Remember what I've always said, depression, you are the only one who can heal yourself."
But you just said,
no doctor can heal you.
You said no doctor can heal you, but you just said there's no reason to this.
But you see, she didn't have the formula how to. She did not document how she healed herself.
She doesn't even remember.
She may not have put it together. Yes, it was not structured. That this is this step and this step and this step. She knows she was able to heal herself, but she didn't document what worked for her, what works. She did not document. So when she was telling me only you can heal yourself, there was no formula.
And it didn't even make sense.
There was no formula. I knew, yes, she healed herself when we were kids, but what was the formula? She didn't give me the formula. So now, here I was struggling with the issue.
So you made a decision to use the meds?
I was using the meds, but with a lot of conflict. Internal conflict, because my mother has always said you are the one to heal yourself, but I don't know how to heal myself. I don't know how to heal myself, but my mother has always said you heal yourself. How? I did not know. For me, my journey to recovery took time. I took the medication with a lot of resistance, let me say, and it didn't take long for me to refuse also to take the medication. I remember even my husband called the doctor and said my wife has refused to take the medication. And the doctor said it is not okay. She should come for review. And I said no. So I struggled, just like my mother. I struggled until I got the formula. When my mother struggled, she threw away her medication, then struggled.
It was a decision
Yes, she
you made
threw
on
her
your
medication and struggled without a formula. I also stopped the medication and struggled without a formula.
Own. Interesting story. Guys, are you following? I'm already struggling with you by just imagining. You're a tough lady. But if you're following this story, guys, you see there are so many things people are battling. When you talk of people have battles, that's a story of Catherine, how she battled depression, and with the background information of her own mom going through the same. It was a very tough moment for her. I don't know where you are sitting, what you are going through now. If you are in her state already, you have to stay here, and we're taking a short break, then come and hear her story. How did it go? Because I'm sure you are wondering if you're already on medication or you've just been referred to check with the psychiatrist or psychologist. There's something disturbing you. You have families, siblings around you, your spouses, your children. This is the time. Let's listen to Catherine. And I'm looking forward to what she will tell us next. So we're going for a short break, but stay there, go and come back, because you have to see this, you have to watch this video to the end. Because what you have to hear from here, I know it will help you a long way.
Okay.
So yeah, so you're telling me you at that point, that dilemma of, you also reached a point of, you made a decision. You're also done with the meds. You're not going to take them anymore. So what happened?
Let's say my recovery journey was long. I struggled, and I would say I healed in stages. Remember, at that time, I did not even know that the different health problems I was going through were related.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that the gastrointestinal problems and the backache and all those things were related. That these are issues which have been documented, and that they researched and documented, that unaddressed traumas from the prenatal, perinatal, postnatal factors, they predispose one to multiple problems, which are all those issues. I did not have that information. So I just thought I had many unrelated issues. I did not know they were related.
You were suffering of how you have so serious multiple.
I had multiple problems which I didn't know were related. I have come actually to know about the essay study which has researched all these many years down the road. So at that time I did not know. I struggled. I healed in stages, let me say. And my first breakthrough was when I was buying vegetables in the market. There was a woman who used to have very good variety. She had more variety of vegetables than other women in the market. Some of them I'd never seen them. So she had vegetables I didn't know. And one time I asked her, can you tell me about some of these vegetables? How are they cooked? She made room for me on the seat. She said, sit here next to me. She said, I want to tell you, some of these vegetables are medication. They are not for cooking, they are medicinal. Wow. She went back to her luggage. She removed a book called Juice Diet for Health.
So she was literally just a herbalist.
She said, I've been seeing you coming to this market, and I've been seeing you are not well. You know, when you have
an ordinary market.
Yeah, she told me, I see you coming to this market, and I see you are not well. Now here is a book which can guide you what you need for your health conditions.
You didn't find that strange?
I don't know what I thought. So I sat down. I started reading. If you have respiratory issues, which vegetables you can juice. If you have gastrointestinal issues. I think you're also
desperate for answers.
I really don't know. Maybe God intervened. So I selected the vegetables which were related to the issues I had. I went, I juiced them, and then I went to a bookshop and bought the same book. I started using it. I planted some of those vegetables in the compound. I started juicing them. My health started improving.
Do you remember the title of the book?
Juice Diet for Health, but I can't
couldn't?
remember the author. It was Juice Diet for Health. I went look for it in bookshops. I bought. I started now following whatever was taught that could help a particular condition which I had. I started juicing and taking. My health started getting better.
Improving.
My health started improving. With time, as I continued juicing the vegetables,
You went back to the lady. I'm sure you.
I became her customer, but
regular
I
client.
also, there are things I planted for myself.
Ah.
Those which were easy to plant, I
Yeah.
planted in the compound, so I didn't have to buy everything. But now I started juicing, and I started getting better.
Oh, thank God.
The juicing helped with a lot of issues. With the time, I no longer used the inhalers. My health became
Completely.
better. It didn't just stop suddenly. I
No,
stopped,
gradually.
it was gradual improvement. I stopped requiring the inhalers because I used to use 2 inhalers, one for emergencies and one for regular use. I started now being able to
So you
do
don't
without
do
them.
them completely?
No, no, I
With
don't. Oh,
in
no,
Nairobi, you've
no.
never-
Even if I'm,
not been affected?
even if I use a border in the evening when it's cold, I won't
Actually,
have
you
a
don't have a
problem.
sweat, I'm feeling
I
cold.
won't have a
You-
problem. I'm okay. So I stopped requiring them, but I graduated to using antihistamine medication. That if it became cold, I would need some something to relieve that. If there was dust or things like that, I would need some
So with
some
asthma,
medication.
that was sorted.
So I graduated. It took some years for me
Pressures?
not to
Completely
require
to
even
stop.
any antihistamine or whatever. So it was a gradual
Process.
improvement. Blood pressure also, it started improving as
Just on
I
the
was
medicine,
juicing,
the
just
juicing.
juicing. And as time went by, I also discovered supplements, that I could buy supplements which had certain nutrients that could help me. So my health improved. But the depression bit is what was difficult. Remember that a childhood trauma causes neurological damage. And it's not that easy to undo. I struggled, even as my health improved, I struggled with sleep problems, battling insomnia, battling low moods. I used to get low moods a lot. My moods were a problem. Being happy and all that was a struggle. So that is one area that I battled for years. Even when the health problems, the other health problems improved, the moods really.
You had mood swing.
No, low moods.
Ah.
Being in low moods most of the time.
Oh.
Being happy and optimistic was still a struggle.
Was not your thing.
It was still a struggle. I was struggling. So let me say that taking the juices did not solve my mood problem. Then at one time, because now I had so much knowledge. I remember one time I was contracted by a company selling dietary supplements from the US to be training for them. And I used to get my supplements for free because I was training for them. So I used the supplements like for 6 months
was a
without a
miracle.
break.
That was a miracle.
Do you know, one day I just somehow wondered, hey, what happened? I no longer have low moods.
You didn't realize.
I didn't realize. I said, hey, what happened? My moods are normal. Where did they stop?
So when they were abnormal, you also realized that it was abnormal.
Of course I knew. How can you not know when you are sad? How can you not know when you are not able
Nothing
to be happy?
excited you.
I mean, it would be short-lived. Of course, if something funny happened, I could laugh. But generally, my
go
moods
back
were
to
low.
your-
Most of the time, my moods were low. I was generally sad.
And I'm wondering how your family was coping with all this.
It
You
has
are
been
young
a struggle.
children.
It has been a struggle. It has been a struggle.
You are young children.
That was not the only problem. When I was on treatment for depression, our doctor was on treatment for depression. She was on antidepressant medication. We were on antidepressant medication, the two of us.
Your daughter at what age?
She was put on antidepressant medication at the age of 12.
That's
So we were both on treatment. It has been a journey. It has been a journey because when my father passed on in 2004, I was diagnosed with depression in 2001, and our daughter, I think, was diagnosed with depression around 2005. And I remember when my late father was hospitalized, I was so down. I hardly ever managed even to spend time with him. He was hospitalized in Nairobi. We were in Nairobi, but I was so down. I would go very briefly. But I remember my siblings talking about it, and they would mention the name of his doctor, who was a psychiatrist. So now, when my daughter was put on antidepressant medication, when I went to see, I would take her to the doctor, the name was the same. So I asked the question, is there another psychiatrist who shares the same name?
They said no.
She said no, it's a lady. She said no, she's the only one. So I told her, I'm curious because my father, who passed on some time back, was also on treatment. He was under the care of a psychiatrist, and I used to hear my siblings talking about the name of the doctor, and it was the same name. So she asked me, what is the name? When I told her, she said, I remember that case, and what we do, his file is still in the archives. Give me the next 2 weeks so that I send someone to the archives to look for your father's file. We need to see what the issues were. So you see how things were playing out. So we discovered the doctor who was treating my daughter was also treating my father.
That must have tortured you so much by the time you realized your daughter at 12, age 12.
Somehow life, you become strong. Because even when life hits you hard, you can't die. So
that was also another trigger that put you to another
Actually,
again.
I had stopped taking the antidepressants, but when my daughter now went down with depression, it was so difficult. I again was put on antidepressant medication again.
Sorry.
So now we were on medication, the two of us. So we were, thank you. So we went through my father's file, and the doctor said actually by the time my father was brought to her, from her assessment, he had been mentally unhealthy for 20-30 years and was never helped. So by the time he was brought to her, it was too late.
Just like you said, we work with this thing. The only thing that happens was a trigger moment.
The thing is, according to WHO, the treatment gap in Kenya is over 80%. It means the people who need to be treated in Kenya for mental health problems and are not treated are over 80%. So out of all the people who need to be treated, only 20% or less are being treated. The others are out there in the community, and that's why
they're not aware.
But that's why there are so many problems. Those are the people you are hearing with so many issues. You will hear somebody, and with all those things you are reading in the news which are very stressful. Those people need professional help, but because it's not being done, that is why we are having those problems. So we had, in fact, now that I came to understand everything about mental health, I came to understand the reason why my mother was battling depression is because my father was not healthy. She was not coping with him. But my father was very healthy physically. My father went to hospital once because when he was repairing the fence, he hit himself on the thumb and it got infected. So he went to hospital for dressing. Only that. He never had a headache or anything.
That normally happens. Many times we are like, he's been well.
Yes.
He's never visited. I've never been sick. I'm in good condition.
He never had any health issue. He never had to send us to go buy me Panadol, headaches or what I have to take or I have what. He never had any pain. He never had any issue. But he had the behavior struggles.
So now this doctor, I'm sure when you talked, made you understand a lot of things also?
It helped. It was my starting point to start understanding. But for me, I don't know whether I say God was on my side or what, because I was very curious and I was researching a lot, and doors opened
Who
for me.
wouldn't anyway?
Yeah,
In your
so
condition, who wouldn't?
doors
You
opened
seek
for
answers,
me.
seeking answers.
God opened doors for me. I ended up getting sponsorship to travel to different countries
Wow,
about
great.
mental health. I attended high forum
Because of
meetings
this now, because of your
with the
situation.
experts, researchers in mental health, donors in mental health.
So your condition even made you change your interest. You had done another course.
I trained as a teacher. Yes, I trained as a high school teacher.
A teacher was
But
a teacher.
now the doors opened, so I ended up attending different kinds of trainings in the mental health field. I ended up even attending different forums. I would,
which were very helpful.
They were
on
very
your
helpful.
journey.
So I traveled to many places. I traveled even as a speaker in very high caliber meetings. I got to learn a lot. So now I got to connect the dots. I got to understand so
your daughter
much.
at 12, antidepressants?
Yes.
She's well now.
She's well. She's doing well.
That's a good news.
She's
the
well,
is well.
but it was
if
hard.
you are worried that 12 years the daughter was depressed, but she's well. As we are talking, she's now how old?
She's in her 20s.
Her 20s. Thank God. That's good news. If you're listening to this and you're going through this already, I know you feel encouraged. There is hope. It happened to Catherine and she's here as a conqueror. She came out of it. She's alive and in good health. I mean, this is so amazing.
We thank God. Now when I came to connect the dots about the struggles which end up getting people, either in prison because they did something, or they end up in a psychiatric hospital, I came to understand about the prenatal, perinatal, postnatal factors. When I was delivering my daughter, the labor was prolonged. There were complications. And when she was born, in fact, I remember she was born at 5:30 in the morning. And immediately she was born, she could not cry. The medics in the labor ward talked to me. They said, the baby has been born, has problems. Do you have any preference of a child specialist? I trusted a lot, and I said that's the one. She was woken up and told, there's a child who has been born with a problem. The child has complications. Can you come to the hospital? That was 5:30 in the morning. And so the specialist came, examined the child, talked to me and told me it seems that the baby suffered fetal distress, is tired, we'll put her in the incubator for the day, we'll observe, we'll see how things go, but she'll be fine. So the specialist came back in the evening, a lady also. So when she came back in the evening, she told me the baby has developed a fever, so it seems there's a problem. So we are going to do blood tests. We are going to try to find out what is wrong. The baby, sometimes when there are complications during delivery, sometimes the baby swallows things they should not have. So she developed an infection because of the things she swallowed. We stayed in the hospital for some time. She started antibiotics at the age of 24 hours. And that
you really had experience with your children.
Yeah,
because this is another one with a very funny experience. I remember the other
we had a lot of problems. So she was treated for some time. I remember we were discharged after maybe a week in hospital, and we went home with medication, antibiotics, and for the chest. She got chest problem because of she swallowed things. Yes, so she had chest problem throughout the first year. We used to have crisis after crisis. Sometimes at night we couldn't sleep because she's having breathing problems. We never stayed without medication for clearing her chest. Now she started showing anger issues very early. But she was being seen by specialists because of the complications from the delivery. But nobody told us that difficult delivery can cause damage to the brain. That bit we were not told. So we just thought she was a difficult child until she would have anger issues. I had a lot of problems. I was being blamed a lot in schools because she had anger issues. She could beat up another child, or she had serious anger issues. So I would sometimes be told, come for your daughter. But I did not know that that problem which was being treated from day one is the same problem that is manifesting in behavior struggles.
So at age 12, when you had what she's going through, that
It was
really
hard.
broke your heart.
It was hard.
The girl herself, was she even aware
She
of the...
she had a lot of emotional struggles at the time. She really had a lot of
They
it.
talked to her?
We changed schools a lot because she would get in trouble and we are told, come for your daughter, we go look for another school. It was not
she
easy.
could be treated like an indiscipline case.
Yes, all the teachers used to say, "Huyu mama ameharibu mtoto." They used to blame me.
Oh, sorry.
They used to blame me because also I realized many people believe behavior struggles are a choice. Okay? Even that child who beats others in school, the parents are really blamed. But for me now, because I handle these cases, if I am told that this child of mine, I've had to change schools because a child is beating other children or what, I ask.
But I'm sure even you at that point...
I didn't know. I didn't have the information. So when she ended up being put on antidepressant medication, that's now when
reality
you know,
hits you.
a finger was placed on the issue that there is the first time I knew is because now when we went to see the psychiatrist about her case, very lengthy history taking was done. I was asked questions. How was the pregnancy? I explained, did you ever get sick when you are pregnant? Did you ever use any medication? For what? How was the delivery? Then I explained. There was difficult delivery when the baby was born. She had complications. She didn't even cry. The psychiatrist picked it. But we did not, all along we did not know. Realize the psychiatrist detected it was a perinatal trauma. The delivery process is what damaged certain areas of the brain were deprived of oxygen.
At early stage.
For some cases, the children are severely handicapped. You will hear the child does not walk, does not talk. It depends on how severe it was. But you see, she was under the care.
So at age 12, you are telling me your daughter already, was diagnosed with this depression, and you had a lot of hard time, the pain of your daughter going through this, which just awakened the history searching now to get to the root cause. So when you realized that all this had started at birth, I don't know, what was your reaction? You're like, did you feel someone let you down? Were you felt let down? Do you blame yourself? Like your daughter is already into this, that you would have saved the situation?
Actually, I couldn't blame myself because I didn't cause the complications at birth. But I felt let down by the different people who judged a case that they didn't understand. I couldn't even blame the hospital because we cannot...
They may not have realized that.
I mean, those things sometimes happen. There are things which could have been avoided, but the things sometimes are beyond us because we were in Nairobi, we relocated to Mombasa when I was expecting, and then I left my gynecologist here. I had to go get another doctor in Mombasa, and then, I mean, the factors, there are factors which worked against me that I ended up having.
But you felt bad about the institutions? And
I actually, let me say, I felt bad about people who used to gossip about me and judge me that I've spoiled my daughter without knowing. I mean, people who judge that somebody's behavior is the fault of the parents without history whereby they have proof.
So please tell my viewers, like you
know, people who actually judge that this child is a thief or is a criminal or beats the wife because of the parents without information, they are very wrong.
It hurts.
They are very wrong.
Like it hurts the parent.
Even if it hurts the parents also don't know. The parent may have had a difficult pregnancy and was busy sending for some medication without approval from the doctor, which harmed the baby.
So besides you battling with the condition, which you're going through yourself, your daughter going through, you had the society around
a lot of judgment.
Hostile judgment.
Yes, a lot of judgment and
hostility. This actually what creates stigma.
Of course, people stigmatize mental health and everything to do with mental health, and
Yes.
because of that, there are many people who would be helped
But they shy off.
professionally, but they don't accept. They say, no, me, I don't have a
denial.
problem.
Oh, yeah.
And then that person ends up killing the wife or killing the child or whatever,
Or
and
themselves.
there are losses which could have been avoided. But if people can understand that the body is one, and a problem can appear anywhere. The problem can appear in the eye, in the leg, in the stomach, in the heart, in the brain. There is no part of the body that needs to be
So you
stigmatized.
journeyed with your children, other children, of course, with this girl,
Yeah.
yourself.
It was tough.
It was tough.
Yes.
It must have been very
Yeah.
tough.
It was
Very
tough.
tough. I can only imagine.
She had serious anger issues, and that was very tough.
And yourself, you had also to manage yourself, coping.
Yeah, it was so hard. Let me say it was a very difficult time.
How are you
Yeah.
coping with the other children? Or
Let me
your
say,
family
we
generally?
used to, the professional we were seeing at that time used to have support group for helping parents to cope. So they are used to be, the help to know how to cope, how to forgive yourself because things are not going well. So we had that kind of support. But I would say not from the society. The society was very judgmental. They think it's your fault. So
They even blame you.
They blame you that it is your problem. But I know that there are many people who are blamed for their behavior struggles. There are many people whose families are stigmatized over their behavior problems. But one thing I always say, I can never judge a case that this child is just badly behaved, or this man who
If
beats
you
his
don't
wife,
know
or who
their
does
story.
what, unless I've done history taking. But there is nobody, let me tell you, there is nobody who chooses to have behavior struggles. Nobody chooses that me, I want to kill people or I want to be beating my wife. No. There's nobody who chooses. It is not a choice. But people don't understand.
And the way we repeat every day, we say it's choice. Those
There
are
is not a
choices.
choice. It's not a choice. The way the brain develops is not about the choice of the individual. It's beyond them. Do you know that as a study was done in the US, the study was done on children who had committed horrendous crimes. The horrendous crimes means horrendous murders. They'll get a mother in the supermarket with a toddler. They'll take that toddler, torture that toddler to death, even throw before a speeding train. I'm talking of those kind of things. A study was done, and the study proved that those children, all of them, their mothers had taken the same kind of medication when they were pregnant. And that medication, people sometimes ask me, what's the name? I wouldn't know now because, medications have the generic names, they have trade names. But whatever the medication was, it was given black box warning, never to be given to a woman of childbearing age, that is age 12 to 59. Peradventure, she gets pregnant. Because you deliver a child like that who will go and kill people, be killed by the mob. But we don't have those kind of studies here. So even if those medications are here, women of childbearing age are being given. They are getting children who are going and killing others.
Sometimes
and
even
things.
expectant already.
Even expectant, even breastfeeding. So the children are being harmed by, that's an example.
Yeah.
So when you see people with behavior struggles, they didn't choose. So you need to find out what went wrong.
So back to your story, Catherine. Now with your children, with all this knowledge, then you didn't have that knowledge then when you were going
It has
through this.
grown over the years.
You've
I've put in a
grown
lot of
of
work.
effort,
Yeah.
But then you were just like without this kind of information. What will you tell that woman who is going through this already? They're either depressed, or a loved one's depressed, or spouses, their children, their moms. What do you have to tell them?
What I tell people, and I'll never stop saying, is that behavior struggles are not a choice. You do not have to be beating somebody or stigmatizing them or gossiping about them or quarreling them or calling them names because they have behavior problems. There are professionals who are trained to address behavior struggles. They can do the history taking, find out whether this is a prenatal problem, that something happened when the person was in the womb, the mother went through a lot of stress, such that the stress hormones harmed the development of the baby, or that the mother used to have certain chronic illness, whereby she kept on, on excuse me, let me take water.
Yeah, sure.
That the mother kept on taking medications and probably just sending for some medication at the kiosk or something like that, which may not have been compatible with pregnancy. We do not know what happened. It could be the mother had difficulties during the delivery, which we call perinatal.
Oh, yeah.
That is during the delivery process, sometimes the baby falls down.
Oh, yeah.
Or sometimes the person who is handling the baby, they hold the head in a way they shouldn't.
Wrong position.
Yes, and that time the baby is so fragile, the skull has not even formed properly. So we do not know what happened. Without taking history, we cannot know the root cause of somebody's behavior struggles. Some of them during the formative years, something happened. A parent died, or the parents differed and one parent left. Or a parent lost another child, or lost a parent and was going through grief, was not able to be a supportive parent, or the child was abused. In some cases I encounter is that people are living as an extended family, they are cousins, whatever. Then there are some who are being sexually assaulted by the uncle or the cousin. But they were always being threatened, if you tell, I'll kill your mom. So they never said. So this person ends up killing the girlfriend or killing the boyfriend because of the damage which was done by the trauma. So some of these people you see being shot dead or killed by the mob or being put in jail, they ended up that way because of things which were beyond them. So unless I know the history, I can never say that somebody's, I can't, in fact for me I can't judge, because I know that nobody chooses to have behavior problems. There's something which didn't go right. So my question is, what happened to you? So even if somebody tells me they commit whatever crimes or they do whatever, or
you don't rush
even if they say they poisoned somebody or whatever, I will want to know what happened to you. Tell me about your childhood. What do you know?
And to a person who is undergoing, sorry to cut you, a person who is undergoing depression already, or with this kind of pressures and challenges, what do you have to tell them now?
I always say seek professional help, and be ready to seek second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion, fifth opinion, because it's not every professional who is going to handle issues correctly. There are some who will look at it superficially. So you are feeling like this, they address now. So if somebody will not do history taking, find out how was your childhood, what happened, how was your family, then they hear the father used to beat the mother, trauma. They hear the father used to have a substance use problems, trauma. The mother left, and actually the mother they are with is not the real mother, the real mother left, trauma. The mother had lost several babies after this one. So the mother was going through grief, was not emotionally in a state to take care of this child. So if they won't do that kind of history, they won't look at the family dynamics. They will not look at the childhood. They will not look at how the environment
so
that person grew up in.
First, second, and even third opinion.
Some people, the problem was not in the family per se. They lived in a very violent neighborhood, like in a slum. So I get people who have behavior struggles because they were exposed to violence from a very young age in the neighborhood. That the first time I saw somebody killed by the mob, I was only 5.
Oh yeah.
And I saw the person dying, and I saw the body.
These cases we see spouses killing each other in the presence of the kids.
So those kids, unless they are helped, they may have problems in the future, and they will be blamed. So if you don't do that history, you cannot know why somebody has behavior issues. Because remember, the brain is an organ. If today the kidney is not functioning well, you will investigate what happened. So if the brain is not functioning well, such that the person's behavior is not normal, you need to investigate what happened. Yes.
So, but the good thing about your story, that's why I call you a conqueror. You are a winner, by the way.
Thank you.
Look at you. You are hope. You are a picture, someone you look at, and you who is watching this video, I know you are inspired, you'll be encouraged by Catherine's story. But I want her to tell us that how does she feel being on this other side of life after being on the other one? You know, she has tested both. And there are those things, Catherine, I know from where you are sitting today, you never told anyone, but you'll tell us today. Like, what I went through that time that you remember, as saddest thing that you remember, and the best thing that you remember after healing. I'll be happy to hear that from you today.
Oh, I think there were many sad things that
One,
happened.
the hardest, the saddest, the most.
I think for me the most difficult was the judgment and the condemnation by people around me and by society that it was my fault, that those things were my fault, and the fact that I didn't have the information. So the day I learned that my daughter's behavior struggles were because of the perinatal problems, that because of the what happened during the delivery, something went wrong. I mean, I felt sad and happy at the same time that I had been judged and blamed for years while it was really not my fault. It was liberating.
Oh.
That's what I would say. There are also many happy things that happened, especially when doors opened for me to attend all kinds of forums and all kinds of trainings around the world. And I got the knowledge and the expertise, and I am now able to help other people. That people come to me having been judged and blamed and stigmatized, some even disowned by their families, and I am able to have compassion on them and to assure them it's not your fault. And we are going to find out why you turned out that way. Then when we do the history taking, you find that this person, the parents used to fight, Third World War was going on in their home, the child was programmed by fear. Fear is one of the most damaging emotions for a child. So a child whose state is predominantly fear suffers neurological damage, and doing that damage is not an easy thing. It requires professional help. So when I get people like that and I tell them it's not your fault, we are going to, you know, and then when those people, I work with them until they are now okay, they are free, they are able to be happy, they are able to have healthy relationships. If they used to have anger issues, they now no longer have the anger issues. They are living a balanced life. I say that is very fulfilling. Yes.
Fulfill your purpose. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching and following our conversation with Catherine. A very interesting story. And we'll just to the next video. Please stay here. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to this channel. It's the best place to be. You will never regret being here because we are bringing to you the best content, those things that people are not comfortable talking about. Like, not all of us are willing to give us their story, what the experience they have gone through, just like Catherine has done. And so on the next video, you stay here because we'll have, now Catherine here is as a victim who was conquered and she came out boldly, but now we'll meet Catherine the expert. So in the next video, I won't tell you this. Stay here, subscribe, and look out for the next video that will come with Catherine as a guest expert on transformational, and will help you to walk with you, journey with you on mental health and personal life journey issues. So thank you for watching this content. Please show us love by liking the video. Connect with us, engage us on the comment section, write to us. Are you inspired by this? Are you learning something? And also, what do you love us to talk about? And if you have a story to tell, feel free to engage us, reach out to us. Thank you and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.